Hey everyone, my name is Vince Gelman. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. Some of you know that in 1973, Pink Floyd, the amazing band Pink Floyd, released their album Dark Side of the Moon. And it's an incredible album, and they're an incredible band, and I had the fortune of seeing them live in 1994 here in Vancouver. And what I want to throw out to you today is a few metaphors that plays off of the dark side of a planet to help you better understand what's escalating right now in our world, which is really an escalation of awakening. We are an awakening planet, we are an awakening species, and although it seems like things are going downhill and downhill and downhill through the increased chaos, the disintegration of so many of the societal systems and structures that we've long had in place, though it may seem like we are rapidly on the decline, what's happening is that we are in fact awakening, and a lot of the shadows that have long been in place in our society are actually increasingly being seen for what they are. And that is startling people. And a lot of people, a lot of pundits, especially right-wing pundits, think that this is somehow new, that this has only just emerged, the amount of corruption and coercion and manipulation. But the truth is, this has been going on for a long time. It's just that we are now seeing it more clearly because of the stark overreach of power that the elites are that they're doing right now. They're really making their agenda much more known, which is to centralize power, to usher us into a totalitarian state. And so I want to bring in a few metaphors today to really help understand this from a context of our spiritual evolution. And I think of this as a fun metaphor. It's kind of playful, it's creative, and it really opens the door to look at things from a variety of perspectives. So dark side of the moon, I want you to imagine that there's dark side of Mother Earth. There's dark side of this planet that we are on, also known as Gaia. And there's also a light side of Mother Earth. And we know this because sometimes there's dark and sometimes there's light. When it's 3 in the morning here in Vancouver, it is dark outside, but it is bright in England, it's bright in Turkey, it's bright in other parts of the world. So we know this. So light and dark are always shifting around the planet. So I want you to imagine that Earth, in its shifting of dark and light, is symbolic of the ego, Now, the ego gets a bad rap in New Age teachings and New Age texts. It gets a bad rap. It's looked upon as something that's bad, that we should get rid of, that keeps us separate from God, from spirit, from our soul. And I might create a separate video that goes into that more in depth. But I really want to invite you to not see the ego as a bad thing that we need to get rid of. The ego is the point of perception for our human awareness. It's where we have an individuated sense of self on this planet, so that we are not overwhelmed by the oneness we are, by the great spirit we are. It helps to ground us in this human time-space reality so that we can function, so that we can actually get things done. So linear time-space actually serves a purpose. It helps us to be productive. It helps us to get from point A to point B, to get our administration done, our projects done. It helps us. There have been spiritual teachers who have been so immersed in spirit that they need their disciples to actually feed them, to lift their head up from drooping down and actually feed them, because their spiritual teacher, their guru, has been so lost in all that is, in the oneness of love and the oneness of life. So we actually need an ego to anchor us in this earth place, this earth reality, so that we can function. So I want you to think of Mother Earth, this beautiful orb, as being the ego. And part of the ego is taken over by dark, and part of it is taken over by light. And instead of seeing it as sort of, my initial metaphor of, nighttime here, daytime over there, I invite you to now see the ego as having bits of light and dark all over the place. Okay, so it's not a set pattern. It's random, dark and light all over the place. Now let me take a step aside now and bring in something else, and then I'll weave it back into this original context. So decades ago, we discovered neuroplasticity. And what neuroplasticity is, it's the discovery that we are not fixed in our mind, in our brain. In fact, we are very adaptable. We are malleable. We don't have to stick to certain neural pathways of thought, of perception, of spoken word, of action, of feeling. We can travel one neural pathway of behavior, of perception, of thought, of feeling, and then we can go to another one and we can create a new neural pathway in our mind. So for instance, if I've always believed that I'm not worthy, and that is the neural pathway that I've continued to go down for decades, I can actually create a new neural pathway that says I am worthy. And the more I go down that neural pathway, the stronger it becomes, and the more I weaken the one called I'm not worthy. So I'm actually recreating myself anew by choosing a new pathway to go down. I'm recreating my sense of self, and I'm creating new opportunities around me, new ways of relating to people, new ways of stepping into creative pathways, into job pursuits, because I'm believing more in myself as someone that's worthy. So we have all these different neural pathways in us, and again, what defines them or what creates them is our thoughts or beliefs, the words we choose, the actions we choose, and the emotions or feelings that we have. Okay, so examples of, actually let me go this way instead. So I want you to imagine that there's two general kinds of neural pathways. There's roads and there's rivers. There's roads and there's rivers. And roads are pathways that limit us. They limit us. They're very limiting, and they keep us in the world. They keep us in the world. They keep us in the world of form. They keep us in the matrix. Rivers, however, they take us out of the world. They take us out of the matrix and lead us back to the ocean, as all rivers do. They lead us back to the ocean that is our soul essence, Back to love, back to truth, back to the light that we are, back to beauty, back to wonder, back to infinite creativity, infinite possibilities. So an example of a road, and remember roads keep you in the world, is might is right. There's only so much. We must compete. We must always work hard. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. Fear, shame, hatred. I'm not lovable. No one likes me. I have to earn love. I have to earn respect. I don't have self-respect. I'm not a respectable human being. So these are all very limiting ideas. They're emotions that are very constricting. They're very low vibrational states. Rivers are I am worthy, I am lovable, I am kind, I am compassionate. There's no limit to what I can create. Anything is possible. I am a good person. I have a good heart. I deserve. And so these rivers, those beautiful beliefs, those beautiful feeling states would be love, would be joy, would be wonder. Those beautiful states of rivers, again, are connected to the ocean, because that's the nature of the ocean. The nature of the ocean is one of truth, is one of life-giving qualities. So when we when we come into this world, when we incarnate into this world, what we're doing is we are continuing from where we left off in the previous lifetime. And the previous lifetime is where we left off from the previous lifetimes prior to that. So it's a continuation of many lifetimes where we are growing and evolving and expanding as souls. Our state of consciousness when we come into this planet, or at any time, is a summation of the roads and the rivers that we have in us that we're traveling down at any given time. So whatever roads we're traveling down and whatever rivers we're traveling down, in totality, that determines our state of consciousness. So we come into the world with a particular state of consciousness, and we're here, we're choosing the perfect family, the perfect situations, often very difficult situations, to continue the journey of soul expansion. So the growth of our soul, the expansion of our soul into higher states of consciousness, is ultimately a neuroplastic movement from roads to rivers, from a limiting sense of self to a more expanded sense of self, It's moving from the roads that we were taught to go down, to stay down, that we were limited to by our parents, the education system, by the programming that was broadcasted to us through the television, through the entertainment industry, through our government. It is about moving from that dogma into the rivers of truth, into the rivers that represent who we really are. And as you know, or you might know, when you move from roads to rivers, you often get resistance from other people. They say, "What are you doing? Why would you leave that road? This road is going to lead you exactly where you want to go. Stay on that road, be a good, obedient citizen, and stay on that road and get yourself a nice job that is on that road. Fit in well on that road, because that's where everyone's going. This is what it's about. It's about traveling these roads." But it's actually not. You know that there's been many brave ones before us who have actually taken a stand for being in the rivers and got persecuted for it. They've been persecuted for standing tall in their river truths, in their rivers of truth, because it went against the norms of society. It went against what was considered acceptable. In many cases, people were persecuted, they were tortured, they were killed for going down those rivers, because it was in those rivers that they stood out. They threatened the church, they threatened the monarchy, they threatened the establishment. And there were significant consequences for that. A witch that is brewing her potion made from earth medicine, she is doing something that's off the roads. She is in the river. She's bold to create that, in the river. But she can also get in trouble for it, as we've seen in history. So being a good, obedient citizen has very much been about staying on the roads. So it takes courage to leave those roads that are deemed acceptable, because there are so many forces at play that want to keep us on those roads. There are so many forces at play that want to keep us on those roads. And society as a whole, this very low vibrational society, this very kindergarten level consciousness on this planet, has long been about stay on those roads. Be good. The education system has been a long-standing system of indoctrination to make you successful in the roads, to get a job on the roads. Jobs are found on the roads, but I don't know anyone who wants a job. What people long for is a mission. They want a purpose. And where is a purpose found, or a mission, a heartfelt, soul-based mission, purpose? It's found in the rivers. It's not on the roads. And what is the ultimate purpose of a mission or a purpose? What's the ultimate high purpose of a purpose or mission? It is to invite people, to assist people to get off the roads get off the roads and into the rivers of truth. The more people travel rivers, the deeper the rivers get, the wider they get, the stronger those rivers get. And I want you to imagine that ultimately these are rivers of light. And the more we travel these rivers, the more the world, the ego self, lights up with light, and the less dark there is, because it's on the roads that, it's the roads that are those that are dark. They are dark, dark roads. What have teachers like Jesus and others often said? They've said, be in this world, but not of this world. Be in this world and not of this world. So we are in the rivers, and the more we travel those rivers, we know that we are in the world, but we are not of the world. We are not here to fit in and lose ourselves to the world. The soul does not belong to the world. But the ego, lost in darkness, believes it is of the world, and it believes it's meant to serve the world. And where do all these roads ultimately go? Well, there's a saying that all roads lead to Rome. All these roads ultimately lead to the elite at the top of the pyramid that govern big pharma, government, big tech, the education system. They ultimately control all these institutions, because it's in these institutions, it's through these institutions that they ultimately hold their power and influence. And so we are brought up to go along these roads to feed and fit into these institutions, because it's ultimately feeding and fitting into the agenda of the elite, where all these roads ultimately go. And ultimately what I'm saying this is it's a totalitarian regime, and we are waking up to this now. We are waking up to what is now an accelerated movement to a centralized state of power. So we are being coerced and forced to be obedient on these roads, to stay on these roads, and the medical solution that is being ushered out throughout the world is actually a strong attempt to dumb us down, to darken our DNA, to control and to manipulate our DNA so that we stay on those dark roads. It's there to darken the DNA. It's there to darken our cells, darken our neural pathways, keep us in the dark, keep the self in the dark, away from the light, because what's happening now is we are accelerating into the light. That's what's happening. We are in the age of Aquarius. We are in the photon belt. We are at a time of accelerated awakening. And so the dark forces know this, and they want to keep us in the dark. So they are pushing all these agendas to keep us on those limited roads. And so it is essential now that we go from road to river, that we have the courage to go from road to river. And this means not fitting in. This means disappointing other people. This means having the risk to question and use critical thinking, to leave the known for the unknown. It's about leaving the known for the unknown, because the rivers are a great unknown. And so we must also face our own fears inside of us that say, I'm scared. What's going to happen when I go into that river? What's going to become of me? How am I going to feed my family? And so people are being pushed to make very difficult decisions right now, where they know in their heart they can't keep traveling down those roads. They need to leave the roads to the rivers, because that's what their heart is telling them. And so as the elites push their agenda for control, what they're simultaneously doing is pushing the masses to leave the roads for the rivers, to awaken, to awaken. So that is sort of the paradoxical side of this, is that in the overreach of the dark overlords, in their overreach for power, they're also empowering so many people to wake up and say, I've had enough. I'm leaving the roads. I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm not tolerating the toxic, abusive, manipulative, state-controlled education system. I'm not putting up with this bullshit anymore. So this is our time to wake up. It's a time to question the roads that we've been traveling on for a long, long time that have determined our state of consciousness. And it is about moving from road to river. And here's the thing. The more you move from road to river, the more you move from road to river, the more light comes in your egoic structure, the more your egoic structure lights up. Because the light of your higher self is basically anchoring more, influencing more. It's anchoring into your human awareness more, and it's influencing your human awareness more. And there's a threshold when there's enough light in our rivers, there's enough rivers being traveled in our human awareness, whereby suddenly we really awaken to a whole different level, and we re-immerse ourselves into the ocean of our soul. That is a high level of awareness, a high level of awakening. For most people, this is a gradual process of slowly moving from road to river, from road to river. It's a dimmer switch. It's a dimmer switch of giving ourselves more and more to those rivers, which represent the truth of who we are. So there, I want to end by saying, trust your heart. Trust your heart. You are not here to fit into a world that ultimately goes nowhere. That is why teachers like Jesus said, you are in the world, but not of the world. You're not here to fit in. We are here to leave the world, to move into the rivers more and more into the truth of who we are, and to ultimately serve from there. That is the only place we can truly serve from. And that service ultimately is lending people a hand and helping them out of those roads, off those roads, if they choose, if they're willing to accept that hand. Whether that purpose is through art, or having your own flower shop, or being a speaker, or being a healer, there are many beautiful paths from which we can serve. There's no one way. Ultimately, you serve by your very being. You serve by inhabiting the truth of who you are, by traveling down more and more rivers, by inhabiting that energy, by holding that frequency of truth. You shift the world by your very being, irrespective of what you do. So this is what's being called upon us right now, is to wake up to this, to wake up that the roads ultimately go nowhere. They go nowhere. They never have gone anywhere. They have never gone anywhere. That's why I've said in the past, the world ultimately will never, the world can never give you what you want. The world will never, ever give you what you want. Only an open heart can. Only those rivers can. Only the truth, the light, the love that you are can. And so this is the human journey right now. It is the evolution of consciousness to leave those well-traveled roads, that limiting consciousness, that darkness, for the truth of the rivers. And as more and more people do this, the world as a whole lights up. The collective self lights up. The collective consciousness lights up. And we reach a tipping point of consciousness that propels us into the dawn of the new age, the golden age that is upon us now, which is where we are all going together. So this is my message for you today. I hope it's inspiring. If you like this video, please share it. Please leave your comments, subscribe, click notifications. I have links in the description for my newsletter, my free newsletter, my social media, and there'll be more to come. Thanks so much for listening and watching.